You are listening to episode 45 of the Peaceful Mind Podcast. Welcome to the Peaceful Mind Podcast, a place for creating the peace of mind you need to be the best mom you were created by God to be. If you want to bring more balance, more joy, and more peace to your motherhood, this is the place for you. I'm your host, certified life coach and Catholic mom, Danielle Tino. In the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. How are you? Right now, I'm not sure if you're listening to this in real time or if it's in the future, another year or two later, which is so wild to think about. But right now, my children just had their last days of school and the summer break has begun. So it's really exciting. I know I used to have a lot of kind of angst about summertime and too much open free time, if you know what I mean, moms, when you have, oh no, then that means the kids are going to be home with us all day. But, mine are a little older now and more independent, and I am able to still fit in my time and actually, not have to rearrange my whole schedule because of the kids. And so if you can relate to that, I know that summer can be really exciting time. And also if you're a mom of littles, just know that it can be an amazing summer, even if they are around 24/7, and that it won't last forever. I know you already know that and might even be sick of people telling you to enjoy this time because it goes so fast. But you know what? It kind of is true. Actually, because we're talking about the model, I can tell you that it's just my thought, but that thought really does feel good. And so it serves me to think it. So I offer that you can choose that thought as well. I'm also kind of just pinching myself thinking that this is episode 45. And as there's only 5 more that takes us to the 50, I wanted to just set a goal for me for some reviews and ratings. And so I'd like to ask you to go to iTunes and you literally just have a chance to rate between 1 and 5 stars. And I'm hoping that it would be a 5. And just press, it's just one hit of the finger on the button there. And right now we're at 25 ratings. And how about we just aim high? I love to say the phrase God math, right? When you put it into God's hands, He can do extraordinary things. So if you are either a longtime listener or new and you have gotten any benefit from, please go ahead and rate, hopefully a 5-star rating. And let's try and hit that goal. By the time it's 50 episodes, we get 50 5-star ratings. I would so appreciate it. Okay, let's go ahead and dive in. We are on the 3rd episode of a series of 5 talking about the model. So if you haven't listened to the previous 2 emails, Circumstances of Your Life and Thoughts You Think, go ahead and, you can either listen to this one and then go back, or you can pause right here and listen to those 2 before you hit this one. It'll make more sense for you if it does, but I know if you don't go back and listen, you just hear this one, you will still get benefit because we are right now at the heart of the model. The model, which was created by founder Brooke Castillo, it really simplifies things in life so you put it together in a way that it gives you this tremendous awareness tool about what you are creating for yourself. And the 5 things consist of circumstances, which we call the C line. So the letter C, thoughts, which fit on the T line, letter T, CT, and then this week we're going to be talking about feelings. And so we call this the F line, and that is the letter F. So right now, out of the 5 components of the model, we've talked about circumstances, we've talked about thoughts, and today we're going to dive into feelings. And why are feelings important? Well, because they drive every single action or when we're not taking action. So basically, they're behind everything we do or we don't do. You're showing up or not showing up is all because of how you feel. Let's start by defining what a feeling is. And I will interchangeably use the word feelings and emotions. So feelings are emotions or vibrations that we experience in our bodies. And they're directly related to the thoughts we are thinking. And it's important to know the difference between a feeling and a sensation. So sensations are involuntary and they start in the body. Feelings or emotions start in the brain, and they are a vibration we experience in the body. And feelings are caused by what we think. In fact, all feelings are caused by a thought. So examples of feelings include anger, sadness, and excitement. And we don't want to confuse feelings with that physical involuntary sensation, such as hunger, cold, reflexed, and physical pain. Emotions are voluntary because we can change what we feel by changing our thoughts. And we often think that our feelings come from our circumstances. We say things like, my husband didn't take out the trash. Circumstance. So I am angry. I'm very angry. That's the feeling. Or we'll say, my best friend is in town, which is a circumstance. So I'm very excited. Excited is the feeling. But the truth is, our feelings, the ones of excitement or anger, in the examples that I just said previously, it comes from our thoughts. So it was the thought, he didn't take out the trash and he should have, that brought on the feeling of anger. Or I'm just so happy that my friend is in town and we can, have some fun together. That thought is what brought on the feeling of excitement. And because we have thousands of thoughts a day, like I mentioned in the last episode, we are not consciously aware of all of them, but they are the reasons for every feeling we have. As you become more familiar with the model, you'll realize that all of your feelings are caused by your thinking, that there is a circumstance that happens that triggers a thought, and that thought creates your feeling. And the first step that we want is to simply increase your awareness about it. And that's what the model does. So paying attention to your thinking and noticing what you're feeling is not something most people do on a regular basis. But when you learn the model and apply it to your life, you will then start paying attention more to your thinking and noticing how it is directly affecting your feelings. We all have hopes and desires for ourselves and the people around us. As moms, we love our families so much and we want so much for them. And we dream of how our life and how their lives can be. But the truth is, what we really want are the feelings we believe we'll have once we get all of those things that we're thinking and dreaming about for our families. So take a moment and think about what you want. Then I want you to go a layer deeper and ask yourself, what do you really, really want? And finally ask yourself how you believe you'll feel when you get what it is that you want. You'll find that in every case, it's the feeling you desire. And that's great news when you consider what I'm teaching you here, that all of your feelings come from your thoughts. And we get to choose our thoughts. So we can choose a thought that brings on the feelings now, instead of having to wait to get the thing that it is that you want. Do you see how this could be a game changer in life? Because it means there's no more waiting around for what you really want. As human beings, we typically don't like the way negative emotions feel. So a lot of our behavior is an attempt to change or avoid them. And understanding this is critical because we want to learn how to identify our feelings. And most people are unaware of what they are feeling most of the time and are certainly unable to label them at times. It's easy when it comes to the ones like anger and sadness or joy and disappointment, but there is a plethora of feelings. Like we like to give the example of somebody bringing you a serving tray that's just this big pile of so many different feelings to choose from. I'd like you to go Google feelings and then maybe feelings list or feelings wheel, and you'll see that there's a whole bunch of kind of feelings and emotions that are more than just good, bad, positive, negative. And it's really important to see the variety of feelings that you can have. And the way you have them is totally in your control because your thoughts create your feelings, and you are the only one, my friend, who can choose what to think. If you really want to change your life, you must become aware of what you're feeling in the present moment. Can you name what you're feeling right now? Do you know where that feeling shows up in your body or how it shows up? I give the example to my clients a lot because it's an easy one to more understand. But take nervousness, for example. Do you know how feeling nervous shows up in your body? A lot of people describe it, right, with the notion of butterflies in their stomach. There's kind of this fluttering vibration. They might have a rapid heartbeat. They feel like spinning, swirly going on in their head. It shows up differently in everyone. But do you see how I can describe the vibrations of this feeling in my body? Are you able to do that? Have you ever thought of it that way before? Or get comfortable with how you are feeling in your body enough so that you actually can name it? Maybe this week you can start to do that. When you recognize that you are feeling an emotion like, let's say, frustrated or disappointed, or maybe even elated, joyful, right? When you notice, stop and notice your feeling, I want you to name it. And then pause and see how it is showing up in your body, right? Like, can you describe it? What color is it? How does it feel? Where is it? Is it in my head, my throat, my stomach? Is it a tightening or an openness? There will be ones that are harder than others because you are not used to, or maybe you don't feel that feeling very often. So it's not as familiar, but it's definitely worth your while to bring awareness to your feelings and emotions. And one way is, like right now, I can ask you, on a daily basis, what are your 3 most common feelings? Is it tired, exhausted? Is it motivated? Is it stuck? Do you feel enchanted, elated, heavy, calm, peaceful, balanced, joyful? So many to choose from, or to notice, or to get familiar with. And why do you think you have these feelings on a daily basis? Notice for many of you, your brain might be offering, well, it's because I have a million things to do, or because my boss disappointed me, or because I was told that the house that we wanted went to another buyer. And see how those are when you're thinking that the circumstance causes your feeling, you put this kind of blame or power into that outside circumstances causing your feelings. But the true reason why you have these feelings on a daily basis is because you are thinking thoughts about the circumstances. Those thoughts that you're choosing to think are what is causing how you feel. So what would you like your top 3 feelings to be? I mean, we're learning now that we're the ones that create our feelings, and the way that the feelings are created is because it comes from the thoughts we choose to think. So how cool is that? You get to pick what your top 3 feelings are that you have most of the time because you have the control to think the thoughts that cause that feeling. And why? Why would you want those 3? And how would your life be different? How would you change if you more so had those feelings than you had other ones that perhaps you're negative that you're defaulting to when you didn't realize that you could create them? Maybe you would keep some of the same that you have in your life. And that's good to know too, right? A lot of the time when moms come to me, they often feel overwhelmed, confused, worried, or anxious. I want you to pick the one you feel most often and give yourself examples of when you feel it and why you feel that way. What would your brain tell you right now of why you feel overwhelmed, or what is causing your feeling of worry or anxiousness? Do you believe you could go a day, a week, or a month without experience this feeling? Like you just kind of went on a fast of overwhelm and confusion and worrying and anxiousness and stress. Did you know that you could do that? Like you could decide on purpose not to think any thoughts that cause you feeling of overwhelmed and worried. Like that is available to you. And do you believe you could even go a month to do that, or a week, or a day? How about even an hour? Can you even see a reason why you might want to keep that emotion? Is there a good reason why you'd want to stay confused and stay stressed? What might it cost you if you stay that way? What might you gain if you become empowered and take ownership that your thoughts create your feelings, and you on purpose decide that you're not going to feel that way anymore because you're going to choose to think and feel something different? I've explained how a feeling is only a vibration in your body. Can you see how a lot of us want to avoid feeling a certain way? Another way of putting it is that we resist feeling a certain way, or we react when we feel negative. So we avoid, resist, and react to negative feelings. But can you see when we have the definition where it's just a vibration in our body that is caused by our thoughts about how we might not need to avoid it or react to it or resist it? What if we just felt it? What if we just sat in the feeling and actually became a person who learned how to feel disappointed, to process through discouragement and sadness? An exercise I do with my clients often is called the worst thing that can happen. It's having you think about what the worst feeling you can imagine ever having to face. And by doing so, we name this feeling and we talk it through, what it would look like, how it would show up in your body. And really the conclusion almost every time is that we realize from that feeling is that we're not going to die. Like we might be able to face it. A few of my favorite examples is the feeling of fear, the feeling of embarrassment, and the feeling of vulnerability. So many times we won't take action or go after something because we believe that we will have to feel fear and vulnerability and embarrassment. And we don't want to because it feels terrible how all three of those show up in our body. We avoid it, we react to it, we resist it. Definitely the avoid it. And that was what it was like for me. Embarrassment, vulnerability, I avoided them like the plague. But now that I know that they're literally just feelings in my body, and yeah, earlier on in my career as a professional ballet dancer, I kind of goofed up and messed up and even fell flat on stage in front of a live audience. And you could say it was embarrassing. But here's the thing. It just showed up in my body like, rapid heartbeat and flushed cheeks. And I didn't die from it. It was just a feeling, and it ended up passing. And at the moment, it could feel like it's so horrible, but it was just a feeling. And I could think any way I wanted about the fact that I fell in front of 1,000 people. And vulnerability is a great example too, because in this life coaching business that I'm running, I have to feel vulnerable, right? When I'm sending emails or making a post or going live in my group, or even just putting this podcast out, right? And saying something personal, or just, thinking, will anybody listen to this? And putting myself in that vulnerable place to feel vulnerable it's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel positive and great. However, I can handle any feeling, and I can also change that feeling by thinking any way I want. Like, I think of the one person who will listen to this podcast and benefit from it and take away a nugget and apply it to their life and see their life change. And I may never hear back from them or know, but I love that thought. And you know what? That makes me do it anyway, even if I feel vulnerable. Because sometimes we have to step into these negative feelings, realizing it's just a feeling, because our dreams and the actions that we need to take to create those dreams to be realities, it takes being able to understand our feelings, know our power in creating them, and creating the feelings that will drive the actions that we want to create what we want. Okay, so to recap where feelings fit in the model. So the model is made up of 5 components, and we've already discussed the first 3, and we have 2 more to go. So I always like to say that feelings are the heart of the model. So since they're number 3, there's 2 before them and 2 components after. The feelings fall right in the middle. The first component, circumstances, they trigger the second components, thoughts. And then thoughts create the third component, feelings. And next week, we'll dive in to the fourth components, actions. So I hope you're enjoying this series, and I know it doesn't feel complete yet, but we will get there. And then we'll be able to conclude and see how it all fits together, and then how these 5 things you can now use to not only just become aware of what's going on with you in your life, but the best part, that you can use this to help you create anything you want in your life. And I know for you mamas that a lot of times what you want is peace of mind and the feeling of peace, right? And today you learned how you can create that for yourself right now. Think thoughts that bring on the feeling of peace inside. Okay, I'm so excited that we are moving along and that you will have all of this at your disposal. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me at Danielle@danielletienel.com. danielleteenel.com or DM me on Instagram or hit up me on my Facebook page. Both of those, Instagram and Facebook, is at Danielle Teenel Coaching, because I'd love to hear from you. And again, get ready for the next component next week when we talk about our actions. I know you moms want to show up as your best selves. Okay, I love you all. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you again next week. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Peaceful Mind Podcast. Are you ready to take everything I teach you here and put it to work for your own life? To really learn how to have peace of mind no matter what is happening around you? If so, I'd love to have you as a client. As your coach, this is where you'll get personal and focused time on your own mind, using life coaching tools, concepts, and proven life-transforming wisdom, all through a faith-filled lens. To learn more about how we can work together, come on over to danielleteenel.com. There, you'll see how to sign up for a free coaching consult and learn how to get started. Until next time, peace be with you always.